Hi guys, so this video is for your mid-unit assessment tomorrow. We are reviewing the 3 things that we reviewed in class. So the first thing is it a function? So that is asking if it's a function or not. All right, so when we are looking for if it is a function or not a function, we're looking at our x values. So first I'm going to see, is x values repeating? 2, 4, 8. Nope, they're all different. So that means it's good. So this is a function because every x value has its own y value. All right. The next one is in a mapping diagram. When we see it in a mapping diagram, we can easily turn that into an x and y table. You do that by looking at the arrows. So if I were to transfer it into a table, it would look something like this. So same thing, I'm going to scan to see if my x values are repeating. They're all different, so that's good. That means it is a function because every x value has its own y value. All right, so please make sure when you are studying this that you work on your explanations. That is key to getting a passing grade for that learning goal. All right, part 2. The second thing you're going to be assessed on is now types of functions. So we've learned 2 types of functions. We've learned linear functions and we've learned nonlinear functions. So basically we're just trying to decide which one it is. So if I look at the first one, I see that it is a curve. That means it is nonlinear because the graph is not straight.
Hi, Ms. Mia.
Hi. So that's a pretty obvious one, and that one you guys have mastered. So if it's straight, it's linear, not straight, not linear. However, what I want you to work on is now with the table. So when I'm looking at the table to see if something is linear or nonlinear, I'm looking at the constant rate. So I need to see what my table is going up or down by. So when I go from 4 to 6, that's adding by 2. 6 to 8, that's also adding by 2. So my x values are the same, so that checks off. I also need to check my y's. Those are also the same, so that checks off. So that means this is linear because it has a constant rate of change. So if any of these numbers were different, then it would be nonlinear because it doesn't have a constant rate of change. Okay? All right, and then the last thing you need to know for this exam is now we're going to zoom into linear functions and we're going to compare some things. We're going to compare our rate of change and our initial values. So remember that the rate of change is the same thing as slope. And y-intercept is the same thing as saying initial value. So let's take a look at this question. 2 linear functions are shown below. Which function has a greater rate of change? So that means I first need to find the slopes for both of these. And then we're going to compare. So let's start with the slope of the graph. So if I take a look at the graph, I'm going to pick 2 points that look nice. So I see these 2 points. I'm going to draw a line down and I'm going to circle those numbers. So to go from 4 to 8, what's happening with my x values? My x values are going up 4. Okay? Now I do the same thing with my y values. These values are going up 1. So my slope is the change in y, which is along the y-axis. So that was this number here. And my change in x is along the x-axis. That is here. So I have 1, divided by 4, and when I put that in the calculator, that gets me 0.25. So that's my slope for function A. If I look at function B, it is in the format of an equation. And what's nice about that is I don't have to do any work. My slope is always with the x. So in this case, my slope is equal to 3 over 4. That's my change in y over my change in x. When I simplify that in the calculator, that gets me 0.75. So now that I have two values for slope, I'm now going to answer the question. Which function has the greater rate of change? So, function B has the greater rate of change because 0.75 is the bigger number. All right, so those are the three things you need to know for your unit assessment tomorrow. Is it a function? Yes or no? What type of function is it? Linear or nonlinear? And then comparing slopes and initial values. Please make sure to check your packet from today and answer any follow-up questions on there as well. Email me if you have any questions. See you tomorrow.